Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to the initiation of another It Came From the Workbench series. I would like to get to Roller. And we can get to Runner here in Volume 29, not in the first episode because Amazon. I know Christmas is right around the corner, but everything is delivered a day late, at least a day late. Usually 2 days late. I think I have most. What I know I don't have is a receiver. I ordered a 2-pack of receivers to pair to the... We have the work in progress radio. I now have a dedicated RC4 that is for building rigs. So we're going to do something a little bit different. A lot of what will be final on this rig is still up in the air. It's in flux. Shocks, tires, things like that. What we're going to start with, there are some certainties. Let me start with the first one. This is the power plant and this is the chassis. I've been told that it's a Tulo. This was given to me. This is basic. This is very much a Canyon build. This is the result of support of people like yourself. I was given the chassis. This was sent in. Miata Commuters sent this in to be tested months ago. And now we've kind of already sort of tested it because it came from the Workbench 28. Is using the Clone Tulo. Clone Tulo will be paired to... I was debating in my head. I was like, what axles are we going to go with? And then I was like, what axles you go with has already been decided. There's no option to mount a chassis mounted servo. So we are going to go with the Mias. These likewise have been sitting in a box for months. August, I think I bought these. They've been sitting there. So they come with the links for both servo and axle. They come with the bracket for servo and axle and all the parts for servo. Ooh, a little gold horn. We're going to throw a lot of colors at this thing. There's our rear axle. It has the nice chrome Mias sticker. Mias is really proving to be much like the advancements we've seen from Injora. Speaking of which, these are the wheels. I know that enough people have bought the turbines to where I keep seeing posts on like Reddit and whatnot where people are like, ugh, well, at least they're not turbines. I love these because one of my favorite wheels is the Hot Storm turbine. I have like 4 sets of them in all the different colors. This is like a proper turbine. Looks much more like an actual turbine. They have not been assembled yet. But I mean, it's a great looking wheel. And that great looking wheel is going with what is inarguably a great looking body, which is this gentleman right here. I mean, come on. What? And then this was cut before I got a hold of it, and I'm not mad. I'm not mad about it because, guys, we are slamming this fella like that. That's where I want it to sit. I want it nestled up right in there like that. We are going to link this thing and wheelbase this thing almost at random. We are. Let me grab 2 tires. We are going to make an effort. Here's how we're going to build this rig. It's going to go servo and axle. It is going to be the Flash Hobby coreless 50 kg. It's going to be a quick one. We're going to go Fusion 1800. Will that be the forever motor? I don't know. What I do know is that I tested it with a Fusion 1200 just to make sure it fit, because I was like, what if it hangs out too far? It doesn't look too bad at all. Here is the only potential for issue. Like, are we going to strike? I don't know. I would love... My optimal choice for a power plant for this is a Fusion because it's clean, it's up, it's out of the way. Yes, I do acknowledge this is for another build. This is not mine for this one. But I mean, would this be perhaps super optimal? Yeah. I mean, yeah. We will do what we got to do. If I have to build some sort of riser plate or something to better clear links off of the motor. So I think what we're going to do, like I said, Roller I have numerous sets of wheels and tires. I've got Deepwoods with squid inserts. That's a possibility. I've got landmines on Canyon Custom Softs all the way around. Fake tusks on 3D printed. Flat irons, trenchers, and on and on and on and on. We have any number of wheel tire combos to be tested. Rock Beast XLs, holds, hunks, tusks, canyon trails, numerous sets of canyon trails in RTR and S1. Something is going to fit. Something's going to work. We have zero commitment to tire. But what we are going to do, we are going to make some small effort. I would like to keep the weight of this relatively low. Not supremely low. We're not going to go to extreme weight savings measures. Oh, did I? Incision S8E90s. And how new do these look? Because they were replaced immediately with DravTex. Somebody's on DravTex that these came with. So those are going on. I've got GTS 90s if I want to go small spring. But on the spring rack, we have got way too many full-size springs. We've converted so many shocks over to the little shorty springs that every once in a while you've got to build a rig that just uses a regular size spring. So we'll get to the springs on that. In terms of rods, if I have to manufacture rods, that's fine. We're going to go from the box. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this. We're going to get the axles bolted up in our good friend the acrylic setup jig. And I'm just going to try to see, like, what do we do here? We build to the body. And we're going to build to the body. So we want the tires centered-ish, but because it's a tucked, we have some options. I don't know where the wheelbase is going to set. We don't have any constraints placed upon us as to where the wheelbase is going to set. We can make the wheelbase set wherever we want. The thing about this is a build more than an assembly because we don't have a lot to start with. I'm at least going to have to make some chassis standoffs and whatnot. We're going to run little bad boys. This is our battery choice. We're going to go battery on servo on axle. I'll probably just make a tab that comes off the back and we'll put the receiver right behind it. We'll try to unspring as much weight as we can. It's going to be very simple, very hopefully borderline elegante. We will figure out what we are going to do for body mounts. If we could get away with Velcro, that would be great. I notice we've got this little 3D printed cage guide that has these little pieces, which I assume are to attach to seats or something like that. We might be able to make a slip-in tab that goes like that, and then just have something, maybe a magnet in the front. I want to try to keep the weight down, which is not a thing we usually do around here. I am hoping to get as many links as possible out of the link boxes. If I don't have to fabricate them, that would be great. If whatever works, right? We're going to get to whatever works. Nothing is finalized. It should be 313, right? Yeah. We can get away with maybe a 325. We'll see where the links fall. And I'm gonna turn Prodigy back on, and I'm gonna dig the arduous process of picking out rod ends, picking out 16 rod ends, and trying to get these axles lined up. And when you see it here in just a moment, we'll have it locked into the jig, and we'll try to figure out what's what. Well, if you've been around here before, and I assume, I make an assumption that most of you have. If you haven't, hey, what's going on? If you've been here before, you may have heard me utter a phrase, something along the lines of, well, that got away from me. I think that is applicable now as well. That definitely got away with me. Oh, look at that. That servo came with a little shorty horn. I like these little 20s, but I don't like that they cut that middle part out. We save a half a gram, and you will, you put 600 ounces through it, you will twist that. So I have twisted quite a lot of those. There's just little, you know what? Let's just scrape it all out of the way here. I started digging through links, not recollecting that the Tulo, am I calling it the right thing? Is it a Tulo? I don't know. I tend to build my own chassis. So, not recalling, because I have no basis to recall from, that the Tulo is very skid forward. Atop that, I can say with some confidence, after having just done it, the Tulo, and by that we mean the purple gearbox, barely fits inside the chassis. Now, I might have the chassis confused. I don't know. So what we ended up with is, and I apologize in advance, the wheelbase is very short. These are the longest rear links I can locate. These were the rear lowers from the Amazon skid forward. It might be an Injora, the Amazon skid forward, which, as assembled with that chassis kit, were way too long. Way too long. It gave it like a 340 millimeter wheelbase. Because the skid is so far forward on this, the lower links are 80 millimeters eye to eye. The rear lowers are 165 millimeters eye to eye. That's a big split. And because the skid is so kicked, we're used to like Circle Legal stuff. Everybody's sticking around that 6 degrees. This skid is kicked. And then on the portals, we've got 3+ inches under there. Nothing clears anything. This gentleman is an objet d'interference. Everything hits something else. You can come on, Fingy. You can see right here. We have that link bolted from the outside, and there's a trio. The lower link hits the drive shaft. The drive shaft hits the upper link. The chassis hits the axle. We bottom out right there. We can't go any further. Yet we still have full flex. So maybe we unintentionally designed something in there that could be positive for the future. And we have the same story in the front where we can only compress that far. It will only go that far. The drive shaft bottoms out. The upper link, the twisty upper links, which were also from the LCG kit, because they have to be bolted to the outside, because unless you're running like a stubby outrunner, it's going to hit it. I mean, look at the clearance between the bent link and the Fusion. This is, I think it's an MST drive shaft. I know I've built similar out of Traxxas like / Rustler drive shafts because I need a 2-piece. It can't have a slider. It's too short. The front upper links are 57 millimeters long, and that's measuring as the crow flies in a straight line. I don't know, like if you bent that straight, I don't know how long it actually is. So we can only compress that far. Everything bottoms out, but we have full flex. So I don't know what we're working with here. Is that good? Is that bad? Because I know that like when you're climbing a straight vertical, what we don't want is for the rear to collapse completely, and this rear cannot collapse completely. The shocks are so laid down in the back. That's a 2.1. That's a 2.1, which is the Blue Band Incision. We probably need whatever the stiffest spring I've got for the rear, because if you change that spring, it's not really going to change the ride height, because the springs have to be at like a 60-degree angle, 65-degree angle. Furthermost hole in the front to try to keep it down. And the front feels way too stiff, but we're sort of learning to discount bench feel I don't know how much it actually applies. These were just sitting on the rack. The hexes on the Mias axles are so tight that I don't have any wheel nuts on. What they did is they made a 12 millimeter hex, and then they anodized it, and it added that just little bit of extra to where, like, these are stuck on here. I'm going to have to knock these wheels off. The only chassis spacer I had sitting in the bin without fabricating, I was making a concerted effort not to fabricate anything, because this is sitting right at about a 300 millimeter wheelbase, better framing. I don't know if that's too short. I like the look of it. It's got huge clearance. To fit the body, I have at least temporarily unbolted the cage from the inside, as lovely as it is. These two guys are right there, like right where those are. And the gentleman who holds the steering wheel on is right there. Like it's sitting on it. I don't know if there's enough room to trim it out. I do know that if you remove that stuff, this body gets... This is probably 50% of this weight. So it sits... This boy is too low all around. This is too low, a top too low, a top too low. That is way down there. But because we have accidentally and incidentally made it to where the front doesn't compress and the rear doesn't compress, it could run this low. I don't know if we're going to get hangy issues here. I am going to try to level it probably right about there, so the rear will come up a tiny little bit. And the way I think we are going to try to mount it is I have clearance here in the front that even at full flex, like even when we're all the way up, like because the front links are so short, the front axle basically swings through an arc. So the drive shaft position changes very little at all. Like it barely moves. The rear axle goes like that, right? Big long swing. The front axle goes, it doesn't, like it barely moves. Happened to get the pinion angle pretty close. The front axle could have been tooched out about, we could go about 8 millimeters forward if we want to pick up some wheelbase. And I would do that just by finding an alternative lower. These are Traxxas, and putting a longer link on the back of the upper. You see, we've got a little bit of space out right there, so we're not slammed all the way in. And the same for the rear. I could just put longer rod ends at one end and space it back. So if we want to get it to 313, it's not a real problem to add 13 millimeters to it. But I'm kind of comfortable with it sitting at, I'll remeasure just in case. 300 dead. It's 300. It's a 300 millimeter wheelbase, which is under 12 inches. That's in American units, between 11 and 3/4 and 11 and 3/8. It's a pretty short wheelbase. These axles are the hybridizers. The Mias axle basically uses an identical portal box to Vanquish F10, but the center doesn't have a removable third member on the back. It uses a cover in the center like an AR-44. It uses all the gears and drive shafts and everything. The gears are all AR-44. We got a little bit of lateral here, and that is because the links are so short. There's nothing we can do about those links. We've got to try to clear the motor. Does it seem like this is one of those things that was like Outrunner optimized? They want an Outrunner in it? Yeah, kind of. I did make those. You can see. Let's point. I made those. The little aluminum spacers that are holding the Tulo up. Because otherwise the link hit the bottom of the motor. It's a Fusion. It's a little long. But we are going to get... Where'd he go? Where'd he go? Where'd he go? I have another one. So the battery is just going to sit right there like that. Shouldn't hit anything. I might honestly... when Amazon finally figures it out all at once, I will probably, and that's a thing that I haven't checked, will the battery clear the body? Yes. because the body's not going to be sitting flat on the rails like that. It's going to be up about there. And I will accomplish this by, in the front right here, I will take this pin out. I will take a piece of ABS, Delrin, ultra high molecular weight, something. I will make just a straight flat across like that, just a flat bar. It'll have a little step on it, accomplished through whatever means, bolting Kydex to it, whatever, and it's going to have Velcro on it. And then the body is going to have Velcro on the other side, and we're going to see if we can't just attach this thing with Velcro. That's the goal. If we have to add posts so that the body doesn't get slung off, and the rear is really where the problems arise, because everything hits everything. Like, technically, we can send Morse code, but it doesn't bind this way. So it really is really bobbed. It's very cropped short of the back of the body. But I think I can get right above the shocks here. There's no chance under the power of the orange sun, yellow sun, red sun, yellow sun, that we will need these top shock mounting holes. If anything, we'll be moving into these lower shock mounting holes with 90s. Could probably run 100s back here. So I will use those holes across the top. Same thing. Build a platform, come up, have Velcro, just attach it. It's something back here. Or, I mean, I don't want to lose the jack. I like the little jack. I was going to say single post in the back. That is what I have not gotten to. I also have concerns that this is an 11. I fit an 11 in there. And with the 11 fitted with the 56, we have just clearance beside the drive shaft there. And the motor is basically, we slid it over and the motor is up against the rail. We can't go anymore. So if I have to gear this thing up, because the too low has a reasonable amount of reduction, and then we've got the same reduction as Vanquish Portal's 1.4 to 1. I'm hoping that an 1156 gets us in that zone, but I don't know. So we've got a 300 millimeter wheelbase. Our track width outside to outside is 10 inches dead. I'm fine with that. I am running through, oh man, look at so there is going to be a groove. There already, just from doing this, there's already, it's wearing a shiny groove onto the drive shaft. This might be one of those instances where one of those cut to length skinny boy drive shafts is probably more suitable. It's not overly long. It's got some wimble womble in it, but I think it'll be fine. Oh, if we do only one thing, we need to know. It feels remarkably light. There's not a lot to it. And what are we missing? Battery. Oh well, we'll be adding a receiver, and then that's it. So we'll be adding this. There's the battery it'll be running. It's 1920 right there. That's for us around here in these parts. Under 2,000 grams for a whole vehicle is very light. There's a Fusion in there, mind you. You could go to a Rhino and an Outrunner, or an little AM32 and an Outrunner, and drop another 200 grams, maybe? The body will tack on another, not a lot, 1920 to 2050. So 130 grams for the body. Freedom unit, check. 4.5 pounds, which will make this hands down the lightest Canyon vehicle by great measure. I know that there are some people in the comments that will be cheering to themselves because we don't build lightweights here. 4.52 pounds. Add a little bit. We'll still be under 4 3/4, I'm sure. Even adding the stuff to mount the body. 4 3/4 pounds will be quite impressive by Canyon standards. And once we get receivers, we will mount the body. We will figure out the rear end here. I wish I could put a brace out here. I mean, honestly, if the travel stop thing became an issue, we could just cut the back. I don't know. We could cut the chassis like there. Doesn't need anything back about beyond that hole. I could actually move it about 2 holes forward and just chop it off. But, as I said, I don't want to fabricate anything yet, other than we'll get into the body mounts to get the body mounted on it, because no matter what the suspension situation turns out to be, we will get the body wants to sit right about there. And I think it's going to be a looker. It is it's very low. It's very light, 4.5 pounds. And then we will see what happens. The too-low gearbox is not endearing itself to me because of where that thing has to output. I have genuinely debated over in my head, pull that spur adapter out, fit it so that I can run a 45-tooth TRX4 spur in there, which would allow me to move this in, if I can move that in even far enough. Too many questions, right? If I could move that in and run a 45-tooth TRX4 spur, then we could chop this drive shaft down, space it over, and then the drive shaft would be slightly pulled away from the chassis rail. But we got to run it before we start cutting it, as I want to know, how does the other half live? How does a 1,920 gram RTR feel to wheel on the rocks? Everybody keeps telling me lightweight. And is this lightweight enough, guys? Aside from putting plastic wheels on it, I don't know how to really make it much lighter. I'm happy with how these sit. So these will be the test set. Fingers crossed for Amazon to show up with stuff so that I can get it finished. The clearances all look great. I'm actually excited to see that the travel limit, to where this thing will not be able to collapse on climbs, which I think is going to help. It will also not be able to collapse the front on descents. We'll see how that goes. As long as it doesn't go full skateboard mode on us, I think we'll be all right. I've got some fastener optimization stuff to take care of. There's some little bits and bobs that need adjusted. But for the short term, for doing too much in too short of an amount of time, what an outcome. That's a beautiful body. I will put an Instagram link in the description for the gentleman who does these bodies, because I'm assuming he offers them, sells them. I don't know. I wish I could give you more information at this juncture, but I have said that all I can say about this. I'm excited to see how it goes, and also for your consideration, I wouldn't be opposed to letting this one go. It's not driven yet, but we'll figure out something. The members and myself and the loyalists of the Canyon community, we'll figure something out. We're running out of room, so and I mean physical room. I have a plan to build another garage to hold 4 more rigs, but I said that we were basically capped at 32, and we're past 32. The bench is filling up again. Visitor garage has 5 trucks in it. And there's 2 vehicles that should be in visitor garage that don't fit in visitor garage. So we're all going to have to come together as a group and figure something out. I need to send the Flanco to Belgium. That'll help a little bit. We'll get to work on some other stuff. It came from the Workbench Volume 29. I said I wanted to get to a roller, and we're at a roller. I wish you could have seen more of it, you know. If I had unlimited hard drive space, I could just leave the thing running and then make comments and then edit it, edit it down. There was something else. All I really took away from this process was that the too-low, if this is the too-low doesn't want to fit in the too-low, or maybe this is just how it is. Maybe this is how it is. I don't know. Look at that shock angle. Wild. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. In the next one, less rambling, more running. This will run in the next one. That's contingent upon Amazon. But there just won't be another episode until I get a receiver for it. So, thank you so much. please do comment below all of the usual things, including, and first and foremost, perhaps, please, one and all, do your very best to have a good one, everybody, in between now and when we meet again. So I will see you again in the next one. I will make every effort for the next installment of whatever video comes next to have more wheeling content in it, yes, and less static images of a bench while a guy with 3 hands talks about it. I'll see you next time, everybody.